Good morning, everybody. It's Amy Bennett with the AM Show. I'm so glad that you're here today. Oh goodness. So, as you know, last night it was our 20th. Well, maybe you don't know. It was our 20th wedding anniversary yesterday, and we did go out to eat. And I'm wearing a nice loose dress today because I think I'm still full from dinner last night. But we had a nice evening together. But today, I want to just jump in to a verse that I read this morning, and I just feel so strongly this is a word for me and a word for you today. And I'm already, goodness, putting it into practice. So I was in Habakkuk. It's a backstory of why, but I was in Habakkuk partly because it's the Bible in 90 days and partly because of something else. But anyway, so I'm reading 3:19, and it really just struck me. It says, "The sovereign Lord is my strength. He makes my feet like the beat of a deer. He enables me to go on the heights." And I was just so meditating on that verse, and that sounds like a fancy word for I was just thinking about it a lot. And just seeing what God would have to say. And I was just thinking about, like, what does that even mean? Like, what does it mean to go on the heights? What does it mean to be like a deer? And so here's the thing, is that going on the heights and being like a deer, this is a picture of going high on a mountain where it is rocky and it is steep and it is hard to walk on that kind of terrain. I don't know if you guys have seen some of these videos on Facebook where some of these animals are just jumping in like crags and like the little, like tiny little shelves of rock, and they're able to jump across these mountains and go. And so that's what they're talking about, is on the heights, and in these places that it's really hard to walk. And this says that God will give us feet like deer to enable us to do that. So there's a certain thing that you need, a certain body part basically that you need to be able to go across terrain like that. And in this case, they talk about a deer and having the feet enabled to walk across that terrain. I was thinking about like what animals would not be able to go to. I was thinking about an elephant. An elephant just does not have the body parts to be able to go across that kind of terrain. He's too big. He's too heavy. His feet are too big. He just cannot. He does not have what he needs to go across that terrain. And so this is the picture in our lives of the places that are like the heights, the rocky places. They're places where we cannot travel because we don't have what we need. And what this verse is saying is that God will enable us. God will enable us. He will give us, in these places that we cannot travel because we don't have what we need, He will give us what we need to be able to travel across that type of terrain. So there's places in our lives where He is asking us to go, or we are even fearing to go because we're saying, I don't have what it takes. I do not have what it takes to go in that kind of terrain or that kind of situation. Whether it's a job move that He's asking you to do, whether it's writing a book, whether it's speaking, whether it's starting a nonprofit, whether it's speaking to somebody, there are things that God is asking us to do, and we're saying, I can't do it. I do not have what it takes to do what you're asking me to do. There are places even that God isn't even asking us to do that we even think about and we're fearing, and we go, oh my gosh, if that happens, I can't do that. If that happens, I can't do that. You know, I think some of us live in fear that something might happen to us, or God might ask us to do something like, God, if you give me cancer, I just really don't think I could go through that. Like, or if something happened to one of my kids, like, I just don't think that I could do that. I don't think I could go through that. And you live in fear that God would even might ask you to go through that situation. And you look at that situation, you look at that mountain, and you go, I don't have what it takes to go through that. And either you disobey and you don't do what God wants you to do, or you live in fear that God might ask you to do that. And every time you think about it, your whole body like tenses up and in fear. I could never do that if God asked me to do that. And you make decisions based on that fear, right? So this puts us in places that are not good. Either we're disobedient towards the Lord, or we're living a life of fear. And let me tell you, fear is not good for the body. We are not meant, our bodies were not made to live in fear. We are made to live in love. And so when we live in these places where we look at a mountain and we go, I don't have what it takes to go across that mountain. I don't have what it takes. We get in really bad places. And this is what this verse is saying. He says, let me read it. He enables me to go on the heights. He enables me. He gives me the feet of, he makes my feet like the feet of deer. He enables. Guys, we are disabled. You know, the opposite of enable. So that means that we are disabled. We do not have what it takes to do that thing that God is calling us to do. We do not have on our own what it takes to go through that situation that we're afraid of. But what God is saying, and this is where God is asking us to live by faith. This is what it means to live by faith, right? Faith is just a belief and a trust in something that we really just can't see or we can't imagine. And what God is saying is that I will give you what you need to go through that. He says, yeah, I agree, you can't do that. But with me, I will give you what you need. I will enable you. I will take away that disability and I will enable you and give you what you need to go through that. So he would give you the peace. He would give you the wisdom. He would give you the provision. He would bring the people in your life that need to be there. He will give you the words to say. He will enable you. He will give you the feet of a deer to do the thing that he's asking you to do, or do the thing that you're fearing that you cannot do. And I've talked about this I think before, but you cannot do it. But with God you can. He will enable you to walk on this rocky terrain on the heights. And then one of the things that I love is that if you go to I think it's Deuteronomy 32:13, I think it's in the Song of Moses, where it talks about that God had led the Israelites to these heights, and from the rock and from the heights he brought forth honey and something sweet from them. And that's the amazing thing, is when God takes you up, he not only enables you, but he gives you something sweet. He gives you something sweet that you wouldn't get down in the valley and on the flat land. You got to go up. You got to go up into the rock of the mountains, and there's something sweet there that he will bring forth that you wouldn't get any other place. And so this is what I want us to do. What I'm doing is that when we encounter these things where God is asking us to do something and we're saying, God, I can't do it. I can't do it. Or a thing comes to our mind and say, oh my goodness, I'm afraid of that. If you ever let that happen to me, I could never do it. We need to, this is where you live by faith and you preach God's word to your heart and you say, God will give me the feet for my fear. He'll give me the feet for my fear. And that is, he'll enable me and give me the feet of a deer to go to the places that I am afraid of, in the rocky heights that I don't think I can do and I cannot do. He will give me the feet for the fear. And so that's what you just have to tell yourself. It's a mind game. So he, you know, these things come to mind and you're saying, he's saying do this, and you're saying I can't do this, or you're saying, you're looking at a situation and say I could never do that. And what you need to say in response to that is, he will give me feet for the fear. He will give me feet for my fear. He will enable me, however you want to say it to yourself, to help you get through it. He will enable me. He will enable me. Some people say God will give me what I need when I need it. God will do it. Because the truth is, we cannot do it on our own. We can't. We cannot do it on our own, but with God, we can. If God is calling us to it and if God is allowing it, then he will help us through it. He will make our feet like the feet of a deer so we can go on the heights. And that's what I want to remind us today. Let's live by faith and believe what God says, because that's a promise. He will enable us. He will. It's a promise. All right. I hope that helps as you go. I've already been saying it today. Like, there's things that in my mind, and I'll just give you one quick example. My daughter driving by herself in a car. God, what? I can't deal if something happens to her. I know you mamas relate. Whether they're 1 or whether they're 80. That's a big fear, right? And we can't live in fear all the time. We have to say, God will enable me. God, whatever God you allow, you will enable me to get through it. You will give me feet for my fear, and He will. Whatever it is, He will enable us. Okay. If you're on, say good morning. I would love to say good morning. I just see that Marie's name, for whatever reason, is the only one popped up. So if you're watching, I would love to say good morning to you. So let me give you a little peek into real life here. Is that, well, first I want to say Marie said, hope you and Scott had a wonderful time celebrating 20 years yesterday. Yes, we had. So I think it was pretty, you know what, it was a pretty normal day. We did go out, like I said, we did go out to dinner, and we had a really nice dinner out. But mostly it was a pretty normal day. We celebrated when we went to Virginia Beach in June, so I feel like we did all of our celebrating then. But it was a very nice evening. Good morning, Angel. Good morning. Glad that you were able to join. So I talked about work. You know, I worked really late Monday night and we had problems. Well, guess what? Because we had problems then, I got to fix them tonight. So I got to work again tonight at 9 o'clock, which is a real bummer, which means that if that ends up taking a really long time, like it did Monday night, which I don't expect it will, there's a possibility that I may not be on tomorrow morning. So just real life, that's the way, you know, I work. So I gotta work around my work. So I'm not sure if I'll be here tomorrow morning. It just depends how work goes tonight. And the other fun things, if I don't, I'm taking my girls to Taylor Swift tomorrow night in Atlanta, which is going to be super fun. It's part of Emma's 16th birthday celebration. And hey, let me just tell you, it's part of my 40th celebration. I love Taylor Swift. So we are going to Atlanta just for the night to go see her. So yeah, just for the night. So if I don't get to tell you tomorrow that I'm going tomorrow night, then I'm telling you now. We get to go have fun and see Tay Tay. Good morning, Brittany. It looks like you were able to join. So I would love to stay and hang out, but it is my morning also to go take Emma to work. So I'm gonna hop off here and go do that. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. If I don't get to talk to you tomorrow, I hope you have a great weekend. And yeah, we'll see you either hopefully tomorrow, if not on Monday. So y'all have a good one.